Hi everyone, my name is Oscar, I'm a scientist, and today we're going to cover the June 2024 visa bulletin that just came out. Like I was saying, visa bulletin for June 2024 is out. We are now on May 7, and USCIS and the Department of State just released that bulletin. It's not good. I'm going to break it to you right now. The news are bad, and we're going to cover EB1 and EB2 because in this channel we talk about green cards like EB1A or EB2 NIW where you can self-petition. That means that you can be the owner of your process. You can do it without sponsorship, without a company backing you up, and also without hiring a lawyer, saving a lot of money. So we're going to focus on EB1 and EB2. So let's go and find out where you can find this visa bulletin. The visa bulletin is really important because it dictates the predicted waiting time or the expected waiting time. So you go to Google or your search engine of choice and Google visa bulletin. Get into usually the first result and you will see this blue website. It's a .gov website, official website, and always on the left side you will get the current month. In this case is May 2024. On the right side, once they issue the bulletin, you will find the next month, in this case June. So what I do is I open both so we can compare them. And while I open them and position the tables, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the visa bulletin. So like I was saying earlier, the visa bulletin is really important for those of you who are hoping to get a green card, in the process already, or looking forward to starting that process, because it really dictates how much time you will expect to wait. Okay, it's an expectation. It's never absolutely certain. We go month by month. But the US has this system where there is a number of green cards that they issue every year. There's a cap. Okay, for employment green cards, they give about 140,000 green cards per year, and that includes all the categories. And depending on which country you're from and what category you are applying, you will have to wait more or less. So in these monthly visa bulletins, they really tell you, okay, based on the data we have right now, you are expected to wait X number of months. So what you do is you compare your priority date for EB2 NIW and EB1A. That's when you send your case to USCIS, and your priority date has to be earlier than the date shown in that visa bulletin. If that is true, if your date is earlier than that date, then you can proceed to the last step of the process. There are two main processes or steps in the process, I-140 and adjustment of status or consular processing. So for doing that second part of the process, adjustment of status if you are in the US, consular processing if you are abroad, you have to wait until your priority date is earlier than the date shown in the tables of the visa bulletin. I hope that's a little bit clear. At least is my 1 minute explanation on the visa bulletin here on the fly. So now let's move to my other screen so we can compare the current May 2024 visa bulletin with the upcoming June 2024 visa bulletin, and we'll find out why I think this is not good news. So there are two tables, table A, final action dates, and table B, dates for filing. So we are going to basically focus more on table A because as of now, in this time of the year, table A is really the more important table. Table A really decides for everyone, no matter if you are abroad or if you are in the US, it really dictates if you can finish the process or not, okay? So in the current month of May, we saw that the first employment-based category, which includes EB1 and EB1A, had a C. A C means current, and that is the best situation. That means that you have no wait time. Okay, so if you see a letter C for current, you should be very happy. And most countries had that letter for EB1 except for China and India. China and India have more number of applicants, so China had a date of September 2022 and India a date of March 2021. Okay, so if we now move to June, we see that there is absolutely no change. EB1 still has a C for most countries, and September 2022 for China, March 2021 for India. Now let's see what happens with EB2, which includes EB2 NIW. We had a date of January 15th, 2023 for most countries, and that remains true for the month of June, so absolutely no change. And the same happens for China and India. China had February 2020, India had April 15, 2012, and they keep exactly those dates in the upcoming monthly visa bulletin for June 2024. Okay, now you may be wondering, well, I mean, dates are the same, so why is that bad news, Oscar? Well, it's bad news because 1 month has passed in our lives. However, the tables are stuck. In order for the tables to be neutral news, the tables should advance 1 month. 1 month in real life, 1 month in the visa bulletin. When that doesn't happen, when there's no movement in the table, that effectively means that things are getting delayed. Less people will be able to advance to the second part of the process, so the queue of people will keep increasing, okay? And that happens because most likely USCIS and the Department of State are getting close to filling up that annual quota of green cards that they can give out, or at least they are being cautious about it, okay? And that is the case for this month. But that's not everything. There's another piece of bad news that we're going to see in a little bit, okay? And I'm focusing way more on EB1 and EB2 because, like I said, those are categories in which we can self-petition, EB2 NIW, EB1A, but the lack of movement is pretty much there for many other categories. I think EB3 has a slight movement for India, other workers as well, but in general, there is really, really little movement in the month of June. We are getting towards the end of the fiscal year that will finish in September. And as the year progresses, it is likely that we are going to see the visa bulletin slower or even something worse that we're going to talk about in a minute, okay? So now I'm going to talk about Table B very, very quickly. Table B doesn't have much importance right now because when we get towards the end of the year, really those of you who are in the US and you're hoping to file an adjustment of status, we are most likely they are going to tell you to use Table A. That's why I focus so much on Table A, especially now in the second half of the year. But in other months, when the fiscal year starts, sometimes USCIS and the Department of State will let you file your adjustment of status based on Table B. And that is usually more beneficial. The dates are a little bit more beneficial for the applicants. So we're going to cover it very, very quickly, even though it's not going to be very relevant for this month of June. But we had a current for most countries, January 2023 for China, April 2021 for India, and we have exactly the same dates for EB1 for June. In May, EB2 had a date of February 15th, 2023, and is the same for EB2 in June, and June 2020, May 2012 for China and India for EB2 in May, and exactly the same dates in June. So again, the topic here, the recurring topic is there's no movement even for Table B. Like I said, is not a super important table. And before we move on and I give you a little bit more information, a little bit more negative information about what's about to happen in the coming month with the visa bulletin, I want to present to you my websites, eb1greencard.info and eb2nw.info or eb2nw/español.info, where you can find a lot of information about these green cards where you can self-petition. If you want to be the owner of your process, if you want to do a do-it-yourself process, you can find a lot of resources. And the one that I really prefer that you look into is my online courses, because they include my own template, my own petition that you can follow, but it also comes with a lot of video lectures that you cannot find here on YouTube. Video lectures in English and in Spanish for EB2 NIW, and we meet once a month in a Google Meet call. In fact, the one for this month is going to be this upcoming Saturday. So all you have to do is you have to enroll before Saturday so you can join this video call where you can meet me in person, where you can ask me questions, and where we can know a little bit more about each other. The course has a lot of good reviews. You can go and check out the information. You can see how much it costs. You can see what it really entails. And if you want to put the time and the effort on this process and you want to be the owner of your own process, I really, really, really encourage you to take a look at it. And now let me talk about something negative that this visa bulletin contains. I usually, if you have been following me for a while, these visa bulletin updates that I give, I always say, always go check the bottom of the visa bulletin, because sometimes USCIS and the State Department put some information there that you may want to take a look at. And that is the case for this particular visa bulletin. If you keep scrolling down, you pass the diversity visa information, you will see these notes that they have for you. Note D is visa availability in the employment-based second EB2 preference category. So this is for you who are interested in EB2 NIW, National Interest Waiver. They say high demand in the employment second category will most likely necessitate retrogression of the worldwide final action date, including Mexico and Philippines, in the next month to whole number use within the maximum allowed under the fiscal year 2024 annual limit. This situation will be continually monitored and any necessary adjustments will be made accordingly. The same note is there for EB3, even though we don't really focus on EB3 here. And this is the bad news that I was talking about. Not only the visa bulletin is stuck in the month of June with respect with May, but also they are telling us, watch out, because in July, we are probably going to make the dates retrogress. Retrogression is an immigration term here that nobody really uses in anything else, and it means move backwards. That means that in the month of July, most likely the dates will not only not advance, but they will move back, okay? And that is the situation that we hate the most when it comes to visa bulletins, because if we said that not advancing is bad news, moving backwards is really bad news. And they are doing this, they say, because they are reaching that annual cap, that annual number of visas they can give out. And that's a mandate from Congress. USCIS has nothing to do with that. And they are approaching that number, so they need to really control the number of green cards they are giving out. And they do that by moving the dates backwards. In that way, less people can finish their process, less people can obtain that appointment for the consulate or appointment for USCIS and get the actual green card. And that means that they are going to issue less green cards until the fiscal year 2025 starts. And that is going to happen in October, okay? So we have July, August, and September. The last quarter most likely will see no movement or movement backwards. And then in October, the expectation is that with that fresh quota, fresh annual quota for 2025, the numbers will be available. The dates hopefully will start moving forward again. And if you remember, I have a video that I will leave a link to it in case you want to watch it, where I analyze what I thought would happen in the remainder of the year. And that is exactly one of the situations I said it was possible. One, that things get stuck completely, but two, that there was some retrogression happening, pushing the dates backwards. And now I'm going to show you where we are in the year in terms of the wait times that we are seeing. So you can see how what I said actually made sense. Not because I was predicting, I was just laying out the different scenarios that could happen. I never do predictions, okay? So take a look at my spreadsheet here where I'm tracking for the last almost 2 years what is happening with the visa bulletin in terms of months to current. So that means if you file your case today, how many months can you expect you will have to wait for your priority date to become current based on the visa bulletin? And we are now here where the number of months are going to start increasing because the visa bulletin is not moving for now, may move backwards soon, And I expect that to continue, that this bad situation to continue until October, when the new fiscal year starts. And this is one of the graphs that I showed in that analysis that I did in a different video, where if the visa bulletin got stuck, this would happen. The number of months linearly increases until we get to the end of September, and we would approach the 20-month waiting time. That means that if you file your case, you would expect about 20 months of wait time to become current, if things don't get worse, of course, because remember that things can get worse or better, but in the last couple of years, things have been progressively getting worse as the demand is strong for particularly EB2. And now I'm focusing very much on EB2 and not so much on EB1, where the situation is completely different and much better, because EB1 is a higher standard, less people are able to qualify, so there's less demand for that category. But for EB2, this is what we are seeing: a lot of people applying for this green card, a lot of queues being formed, and visa bulletin not moving. And if we continue like this, we are going to hit the 20-month waiting time by the end of the fiscal year. If there is retrogression, which is likely, then we're going to reach it earlier, and we are probably going to get closer to the 2-year wait time by the end of this fiscal year 2024. I do hope that doesn't happen, but based on what we just saw in the visa bulletin, that note at the end of the visa bulletin, that is a likely situation. Now, I raised the risk of retrogression by a lot, because USCIS, because the Department of State are telling us that that is likely to happen, and we should listen to them. Now, don't get discouraged. Be realistic. You have to know this information. It's important to know the reality. But if you are preparing your case, keep going. Don't let this demotivate you. Keep building your profile if you are there. Keep building a good, solid case for yourself. And if you submit it, you will put your foot in the line. You will be waiting along with many other people, but you will be already in that line of people. And, time will pass. Don't worry. You will become current sometime. We will have to see when, based on what happens with the demand in the coming months and years, especially after the fees were increased. I'm curious to see if less people will apply based on the increased cost that we are seeing, but time will tell, okay? We're going to follow all of that here in this channel. I'll be here with you doing that analysis. And until then, I wish you good luck. I thank you for being here, for sharing this video, for subscribing and liking and all of that you always do. So thank you so much, and I will see you in the next video. Not with good news, I think, but with the news we have, we will analyze them here. Thank you.